Welcome, Jam.
All of the names.
All of the names. Thank you so much for being on my podcast. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you do.
Okay, so my name's Jamila, also known as Jam, also known as Jem. And I run a fundraising consultancy called Get That Money for small organisations, whether that be charities, CICs, or companies for good. That's basically what I do. I help them find the money they need to fund their mission.
So this is my first memory of how we connected. Tell me if I'm wrong. So there was an event in Hackney, and you went on behalf of another organisation, and then I just heard that you was there. I just heard your name, and something to do with funding. That's the first kind of connection I had to you, and then the next time I met you was here in this space. So I'm a bit nosy because I know a lot of people in Hackney, so I want to know who's who, right? So then I met you here, and to begin with, I didn't think we would connect the way we have. Would you say that?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think you liked me.
Really?
And I'm a try-hard when I liked you, and you give off really good energy, and so I was definitely trying hard to just be nice and impress you and make friends with you, and I just felt like you just kept on looking at me like, why are you still talking? Like, don't you see I'm here to do stuff? Like, I'm busy with my Carabeats and my canteen, and why are you still like hanging around? And my problem is that even if I know I should have moved on, and I'm telling myself, stop talking, leave her alone, I just can't make, I don't know how to make that transition from like, I literally don't know how to say goodbye or anything. So on the phone, and I'm notorious for this, I feel like we've reached the end of a conversation. 9 times out of 10, I will just hang up.
I was saying this to somebody earlier before. Who cares whether I like you or not, right? That's one thing.
Yeah.
Right? But I get that we do.
But I wanted to be friends.
And I am so like, that was never, I never thought that in my head going, like, will this woman shut up? I've not thought that.
No, but that's the story I was telling myself. It's not what you were saying to me. You might have just given me a raised eyebrow, and I brought up all of the other stuff.
You see what I do love? I do love hearing like what people think about me when they've met me, whatever. So it's really great that the picture you're painting is that I was just like, no, we can't be friends, kind of thing. But
it could have also been that you were just really busy and I was interrupting, and that happens.
Yeah, so to give a bit of context, we often are in the same space, right? Co-working space.
Yeah.
And I've got my desk, you've got your desk.
Yeah.
Unofficial.
Yeah.
Well, mine's...
I feel like mine's official. I've moved in, taken over 2.5 desks.
Yeah, so I've got my own unofficial desk, which needs a nameplate. I can say this every week. Still not got it. And so we're colleagues on a Monday. That's what I feel like, we're colleagues on a Monday. And I just found you very funny. I just think you're like very light and bubbly, and you bring a lightness and kindness to the space, and
although also toiletries to the toilets, the ladies' toilets have definitely improved since I've been here.
Yeah, but when I first met you, I didn't think that we would connect like we did. And what I mean by that is that I'm busy. When I say I'm busy, that sounds like, I'm too busy for people. I'm not. Like, I wasn't always focused in my life, right? I wasn't, and I was easily distracted. But in these last few years, I'm just like, I'm on it, right? So when I come, as you know, sometimes I've got a list and I just get through it. We've got to be careful of the company we keep.
Yeah.
And I come to spaces like this and be around people like you and Urban MBA because it's the opposite of misery. It's being in the possibilities of we can.
Yeah.
The only thing stopping us is us, right?
Yeah.
So I am in these kind of spaces. And like I said, I wasn't always in those spaces. And sometimes in periods of my life, I don't know if you agree to this, agree with it, is that sometimes we want to be around people just to moan and just, and oh, it's not possible and nobody's going to pay me to be a fundraiser, nobody's going to, and that's our reality, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why being here, and that's why I'm like, the lightness you bring, it's all good energy. So
yeah, and yeah, I've been in spaces like that where even if you're being successful, everybody's telling you how it's not successful enough, right? You've got a new client, but you didn't make 3. You've done something new. Oh, but you didn't do it this way, or it didn't go exactly how they would have thought what success looks like. Whereas, one of the things that I really do love about this co-working space, and actually the network that I've made within this co-working space, is the fact that people share information freely. Like, we're really honest about things that are going well, things that are not going well. People talk to each other like, oh, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. I mean, I learned how to create an app using like Claude AI, just listening to somebody else. Fair enough, I've not taken it fully to think because I don't need to. But the fact is that somebody was saying, oh, I'm doing this, and I asked them, can you show me how? And 90 minutes later, I had like, I'm not sure if it's an alpha or a beta version of an app, but the first version of an app. Like, who knew?
yeah, and I think it is, if we bring it back down to connections, this space is about being yourself and being authentic. In business, I think not everybody can be that way for whatever reason. And I think some people feel that you can't bring yourself. I can't not bring myself.
Yeah.
And I think you're similar, that you can't not bring yourself.
Yeah. But it takes time. So, like, I've been doing quite a lot of public speaking recently, and I'm definitely myself in my public speaking, but it's taking time for me to feel confident being myself as a public speaker, even though I can't change the way I speak, the way I interact. Like, I'm still kind of, ooh, should I be doing it more professionally, or should I be, like, I don't know, have a bigger story that needs to, like, but I'm actually getting comfortable with how I do it.
Definitely, we have, and I'm not gonna go into the conversation we had in my car when I dropped you recently, but we spoke about you having to pause for whatever reason, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because I admire that, and 2, I admire the fact that you had another business name before the one you've got, and I think that's really important to share that. We can do those things. Do you want to like share a bit more about your name change and the pause, if you want to?
So, the pause happened because I had a health issue, and when I say the pause, it really was, I had to stop everything. I was in so much pain that literally all I could do was go to work and sleep. And take medication for that until I was able to get 1 or 2 operations, which did, for the most part, fix everything.
Yeah.
Working on the health. But that meant that I guess the people that I was around, who may have been a month or 2 or a year or 2 before behind me at the same point, or then all of a sudden, because that took about 2 years, all of a sudden everyone that I knew that I started on this business journey with was so far ahead of me. And I guess I could have stopped and said, oh, you know what, I'm going to keep my 9 to 5 because like everybody's doing better than me, I'm such a failure. And I was just like, no, because I still want this for myself. I still want to choose how I give and who I give to, like my expertise. And not because I think I'm all that great, it's just because there's certain parts of my values that resonate with certain organisations. And like when you're working for a boss, you don't get to choose who you work for. The boss chooses who you work for. So that was one of the reasons that when the pause happened, or I came off pause, it still took me about 6 months to get myself back to after I came on pause to get me back to where I felt I was when I went on pause. So that's about 2.5 years there.
I've had bosses, I've had managers, I've had leaders, I've had pain in the backsides as well.
Yeah.
You know,
I think we've all had those.
Yeah, and I always knew for me that I would end up working for myself. I didn't know how. I really didn't know how, and I think the number of events have led to it too. So to the 26th of June, I depend on me. 26th of June 2024. It's just me. I'm not working for anybody else, and you know, working on Caribbeans, which is wonderful. And I love what I'm doing, and also building my personal brand and my other offers. But it takes, that can be scary. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No.
But has that been your experience?
So it's not all glitz and glamour.
It's not.
And there are so many sleepless nights, so many new skills that you either have to learn or try and work out if you need somebody else to do it, and then what that looks like, and manage, and then you become the manager. Woohoo!
I spoke about this in one of my previous episodes of having to learn so many skills to be successful in business, and a lot of those skills I don't want to learn. I didn't want to learn. I just got no interest in it. I just want to help people.
Yeah, I mean, I have no interest in learning how to do my tax return, but like, you know, the tax man will not tolerate that.
Exactly.
But also my business won't tolerate that. I need to know my numbers. I need to know what these things are. I don't necessarily know about social media, and I know enough to do what I'm doing, but I don't need to know like the ins and outs. Now, if I wanted to do more about that, I probably would get somebody else whose business it is to know more about that.
Exactly. Until we're in a position to be able to do that. Yeah. Business is not separate to life. Life and business go hand in hand. But I think sometimes we're taught to show up as like, this business is doing really well, or it's really great, and not to talk about life. But you're doing them together.
Yeah, without doubt.
And one of the things that I'm not, like now more, we're speaking about those things more. So again, I'm in circles, or I make connections with people where I can say, on Instagram it looks really yellow and shiny, but down here I'm crying because I don't know, I didn't get funding, or I'm not being able to pay myself, or somebody complained, whatever it is, it's duality. And we can't, if we don't talk about things, I think we're selling new people coming behind us, entrepreneurs, like a game that's not the case.
Yeah, and I think actually this is why, again, with the network and the networking, because then somebody that's new to it gets to see us like at our best, at our worst, and all the in-betweens. Because, yeah, there are things where I've had to work with clients that I don't like. This year I discovered the art of firing a client and telling them that I didn't want to work with them anymore, and that, you know, when our contract ended, I was not going to be renewing. But then I've had that back to me where a client's like, you know what, I think we deserve more, or we need more, or we definitely... When
somebody looks up to me or thinks I'm doing really well in business, I'm like...
Yeah. Who are you talking about? Like...
Because if you was to ask my family, right, they're proud of me and they go, oh, you've done this, you've done that. But the people who really know me know that I ain't got my shit together. Like, I am... No,
but it's levels. It's levels of shit together.
Yeah.
So am I school leaver, still, you know, drinking all the weekend, and then being able to roll into work on a Monday morning having been out on like a 3-day bender? No.
Yeah.
Like, one, my body can't take it, but also I realised that I don't like how that makes my body feel. But then, like, the other things are, yes, I work hard, but then when I'm seeing my friends, I'm able to like fully engage with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are loads of things in my life that aren't, I won't even say perfect, you know, they're aiming to be good. But
I really like when, and I relate to people's imperfections. I relate to people's honesty, and that's not saying that they have to share everything about them, right? Because I share very little about myself, but
Oh, I'm an oversharer. TMI. Too much information all the time. But the thing is, I think it's because I'm not used to keeping secrets. I mean, I can keep other people's secrets better than I can keep my own.
So some people will, like my sister and my auntie and my sons, they know me.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of other people who know me. Then there's other levels, other levels. So when people have this idea of who I am, and I want to go, no, because I can't live up to that, because I'm not that. And there's a couple of things I wanted to ask you before we bring it to a close. And I think the last question I'm going to ask you is about our connection. But before that, I really admire, when I met you, you said to me, I said, oh, what do you do? What's the name of your business? And you told me, you said Tabitha something.
Yeah, Tabitha's People.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, as you said, that a million people asked this question. And I was like, why Tabitha's People? And you were just like, well, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I just kind of like was lost.
Yeah.
Why I'm saying this is that I admired that you was able to pivot. How easy was that?
It was emotional. Because it was wrapped up in several things. So Tabitha's People for me sounded professional and like I took business seriously and people take my business seriously. The problem with that is that 90% of my conversations with people was about how I came up with the name, not how I could help them in their organisation, how I could help them raise money, how I could help them generate income. And when my coach, Urban MBA's Kofi Opong, spoke to me and we were talking about coming up with my own podcast, and he was saying, you know, like when we were trying to brainstorm, I came up with about half a dozen names, most of which I wasn't really overly like tied to. Kofi didn't like any of them, and then he said, what about Get That Money? And I'm going to be honest, this is when I think I found out that I'm a snob. Like, cause I was just like, oh my gosh, it's not even grammatically correct. It sounds so street. Like in my head, these are the things I'm saying. And then, but we talked about it and I thought, okay, for my podcast, that's fine, because I've still got the professional thing. And then we were just talking about it, and over a series of weeks, about 2-3 weeks, and I just realised that when I told people the name of my podcast, they knew exactly what it was about.
Well, when I heard it, I was like, genius.
Yeah.
Because if I want to work with somebody who's going to help me get that, I'm going to you. Yeah. Get that money. And to me, it's not street, it's not ghetto.
No, but that's when I realised I was literally up there and behind.
Yeah.
It's because, you know, I don't know, I think I'd had this idea that in order to be perceived as professional, I needed everything about what I did to seem professional, and it wasn't inauthentic, because it was definitely the right name for the time. But my confidence in my organisation, my confidence in what I'm doing means that I don't actually need some fancy name that needs loads of explaining. What I really need is a name that tells people what's on the tin, a bit like Ron Seal. That then means that all my conversations with people are around how I'm going to help them raise money.
You weren't wrong and strong and going, it's Tabitha's People, I know why. And then you just changed it around and all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, it's how it's supposed to have always been.
It's had a massive effect on the number of conversations, or the type of conversations I had. Before, with Tabitha's People and that name, 90% of the conversations were then about the name, and at least 60% of the conversation was about the name before we even got to fundraising, if we got to it.
Well done on changing the name. And for anybody who's unaware, it is, what's the name of your business?
Get That Money.
Get that money. Yeah, exactly. Get that money. Get that money. Right. To end. What does connection mean to you, and what do you want to say? Anything more about our connection in this short period of time?
So okay, it's two different things. So for me, connection, and it's intrinsic to what I do. It's about relationships. It's about engaging. It's about learning about the other person. It's about giving of yourself.
Yeah.
With you, I just wanted to be your friend. Like you talk about my energy. I liked you. I liked your hair. I liked your clothes. I liked the fact that you were just like, this is my space. I need to do this. Like, can anybody help me with this? I'm working in silence. Like, literally, you just like, you let me know. And sometimes I listen. Like, what was going on. And then we were talking about Carabeats and what was going on with that, and what your aspirations were. And we were talking like about like when you left your, I guess, well, bravery as well, left your, I don't know if it was a 9-to-5 day job, you know, your main form of income, so that you could concentrate on that. And I was just like, yeah, these are the people I want to be around.
Ages ago, I met this guy called Dave, and I know a guy called Dave, and I remember saying to him when I met him, a few months after I got to know him, I said, Dave, you know what? I used to think you didn't like me. And he turned around, he was eating fish and chips, he turned around to me and went, who gives a F whether I like you or not? Do you like Ali? And I was like, it's like a light bulb moment, you know? And so that reminds me for saying that I have and that I use very often is, if the energy is off, I'm off. And with that note, thank you so much for being a guest, Jam. All of the names.
Thank you for having me.